So the spinal cord has gray matter, which is the nerve cells in the core, and then it has a dorsal horn, which receives incoming sensory information, and the ventral is motor neurons, largely for reflexes and shorter communication, while the white matter is outer nerve cells linking spinal cord areas and spinal cord to brain. So there's the ascending tracts, which sensory impulses from spinal cord go to the brain, and descending, which means brain to spinal cord. And then the brain has 3 different sections. There's the hindbrain, midbrain, and forebrain. So the hindbrain has the medulla oblongata, which is largely for reflex actions, the pons, which gives further modifications of the signal from medulla oblongata, and the cerebellum, which is involuntary actions, like modifies motor output but does not initiate it. And then the midbrain is the tectum and tegmentum, and the tectum receives visual and auditory input, while the tegmentum is motor output via trochlear and oculomotor nerves. And then the forebrain is diencephalon, dorsal thalamus, and telencephalon. The diencephalon includes the epithalamus, hypothalamus, and thalamus. And the hypothalamus regulates physiological homeostasis and stimulates pituitary gland. And the thalamus integrates sensory input. And then the dorsal thalamus receives sensory input from all over the body. And then the telencephalon is the cerebrum. So the lobes of telencephalon are the frontal lobe, conscious thought and reasoning, speech, movement, emotions, and problem solving. Then the parietal is integrating sensory information, visual spatial processing, manipulating objects. Occipital is visual processing. And then temporal is sound, smell, parts of speech, and memory. And the commissure is what connects the hemispheres. So the limbic system regulates expression of emotions, spatial and short-term memory. It temporarily holds experience until established in cerebral cortex, and it is used in social decision-making. And then the motor cortex is initiation of everything. The primary controls movement of actions and sends out what information to do. Premotor prepares for movement, and it is sensory guidance. And then the supplementary motor area is planning movements. And the basal ganglia, it is several brain regions, and it allows movement to begin, or it inhibits it. And it provides stimulatory or inhibitory control, especially in the motor cortex. And then there's fine control of movements, so the cerebellum balances in posture, but it does not initiate movements and motor learning. So, brain evolution. The forebrain enlarges in many groups, especially amniotes. And then the absolute brain size increases in many groups as well as relative brain size. And what absolute brain size is how much a brain weighs. So absolute brain size would be, for example, the grams of how many each brain weighs. And then relative brain size would be the body sizes compared to the brain. So, for example, humans have a very large brain for the size of their body. And then there's something called allometry, which is the relationship between body size and other characteristics. And really quick on bird brains. Bird brains are mostly dorsal ventricular ridge. So that's for visual, somatosensory, and motor cortex. And also in brains, there's variation in folding of neocortex. So gyrencephalic is folded, and lissencephalic is smooth.